then. Time to stand up. Here we go. Woo! Happy Sunday. Here we go.
Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Say hello to somebody around you. Here we go. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. All right.
He's back.
Good morning, everyone. It feels so... William. Lights. There we go. Perfect. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be home. Oh, my gosh. You know, I love going to different places, but I love my bed. Don't you love your bed? When you get home, you think, this is it. And then when I walked into the center this morning, it just felt like home. So I'm glad to be home, and I'm glad you're with me today. A lot has gone on in the world. Yeah? We'll talk about that later. I'm a little upset. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay, so let's just take this opportunity now, though, to get in the mind space where we can have a really constructive dialogue about this conversation and maybe a lesson that can change the course of events in our life and the course of the events happening outside in the world. So what I want you to do now is I want you to get comfortable in your seat, take a deep breath in, and we're going to try something. Take a deep breath in and then sigh on the way out. And make sure you empty your lungs all the way out, like you're just going to totally empty those lungs when you do that. Let's take another deep breath in. And there we go. We just have to turn the outside off for just a few minutes. Become open and receptive to an idea that's greater than us, that may not even be known right now in our consciousness, the consciousness of humanity, but we still walk in that knowing. So take a deep breath in again. And exhale on the sigh. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to a deeper kind of love, to a sweeter kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done and everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, and everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the sacred moment here, to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing light so clearly now. Please join me. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to a deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
Please join me in knowing right now, the power of one. The power of one for good. The eternal wellspring of joy, of good, of peace, of truth. I call it God. God is all there is in everyone and everything. God is the peace and the joy. And I am all that God is. And I know that God's love is my love. And God's joy is my joy. And I know if this is true for me, it's true for everyone. And so I now speak my word for everyone, for all of us. And recognizing in this moment its power. And recognizing that we are the light. We are the light that illumines the way to peace. We are the messengers for joy. It is ours to be what we want to see in the world. And we are that truth, that joy, that love, because love is all there is, and we know love is all there is, and we know it is ours to share this love with the world. There is no bad. We see only good. We recognize that things appear to be less than good. We recognize things are happening that we sometimes label bad. But we rise above that and we see the God in all. We see the truth and we see the love in all. And we know right here and right now what our job is. To be the messengers, to be the light, to be what we want to see. And I'm so grateful to know this truth for myself and for all of us. I'm so grateful to know what is my job, what is my mission. And I'm grateful for this center where I can come to learn the truth, where I come to learn how to live in truth and in love. And I'm grateful that our spiritual leader, Dr. Joe, is back today and anxious and open and ready to hear his message of love. And I give thanks for our CSL band, whose music raises me to a higher level of knowing truth. And I'm grateful for all who participate in putting this center together, for our volunteers, for our staff, and for everyone who shows up to learn about truth, to learn how to live in peace. We are the peacemakers. And so with great gratitude, eternal joy, I simply release my word to the unwavering law, knowing it is done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I awake in this holy silence. I hear all that has never been said, and right here in this holy silence we find God when we find ourselves. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So we awake in this holy silence. We hear all that needs to be said, and right here in this holy silence we find God when we find ourselves. Oh, and I find God when I find myself. And you find God as you find yourself. So, any lights up here? Let there be light. There we go. Now I can see. Good morning. Yeah, I changed my shirt. What's that? Thank you. Yeah, you didn't say you didn't like this one, but I know. This is, actually, I'm going to go into my talk because the shirt is going to be explaining a lot. I saw this shirt the other day in P-Town, and it kind of reflected the way I feel. I'm feeling very dark on one side, and yet within me I know is this love that needs to continue to come out. When I left this place 3 weeks ago, our flags were at half staff for another reason, and they're here again. And I've gone through so many of these times standing in front of you that I don't even remember the cities now where all this stuff has happened. I mean, it's been happening so much, where these attacks are happening on people. People are being murdered and harmed, and it's just becoming overwhelming. Is anyone else feeling a sense of overwhelm? And I feel very dark around that. Can I have the ceiling fans, please, William? I feel very dark around that. And so, but I also know that part of me as Joe and part of me as a spiritual leader has to lead us through things like this. And it's hard to give things like this meaning. It's hard to understand them. It's hard to interpret them. It's hard to fathom in the world that we live in today, that we're facing the things that we're facing today. So I decided I was going to wear this shirt today. I wasn't going to wear it when I came out. I was going to wear it right just for the talk because I want this to be symbolic of maybe the way you're feeling. Because I'm feeling very dark on one part, but I'm also feeling that from this, something of love has to continue to move forward. Does that make sense? In my travels in Peru with our group, and it was amazing, and I'm not going to show you all my slides because we'd be here for 3 hours. The one thing that I took away from Peru, if there was one spiritual lesson that I walked away from my experience in Machu Picchu and all the other things that we saw there, was that I have to be able to live in the unanswered question. Because there were things that we saw that you cannot explain how they happened. There are 10-ton rocks sitting on top of a hill, perfectly carved and perfectly surrounded by other 5 and 10-ton rocks. And how they got there. There wasn't cement. There wasn't a way to grind these things down. There wasn't any whatever you put between bricks, mortar, whatever. That didn't exist then. So you have to be able to look at these things, and you have to be able to live in the unknowing. And living in the unknowing is really uncomfortable. And this is one of their symbols that they use over there. And I found it to be really interesting because it's built on the idea that we have no idea what this, how it got there. But we just know that it exists. So to me, to put this on top of my heart and on top of this unknowing was something that I really wanted to demonstrate today because I don't know either. There are things that we all know, and what I do know is that this is going to be the answer. And we just have to figure out how it's going to be the answer because I don't know, and we don't know how that is yet. So we have to learn to live in this question mark time. And talk about living in our question mark time. I mean, one thing about being away from the news for 3 weeks, holy cow. We're a screwed up bunch of people, you know? When I came back, I'm reading all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, how does this happen? Okay, now, Joe, make sense of this. Because you're going to be looking at me going, Joe, help? That's what church is for? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Goodness, the talk of my title is Goodness, Peace, Mercy, Justice, and Truth. And I chose that a year ago. The theme for this month has been loving kindness and forgiveness. Today, the actual talk title is We See a World of Peace and Harmony, Enfranchisement and Justice. Yeah. And there's some words that are sticking out there. Here's our affirmation for today. Please join me. Rising to my greatest self, I now step into seeing members of our human family with a deeper understanding and feeling of connectedness beyond my familiar. Read that to yourself for just a minute. Of all the words that I said so far, I feel like there's a whole group of people that are totally disenfranchised and disconnected from humanity, from source. And my job, when I see them, my reaction has always been, I'm angry. When I say I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm upset. Why is this stuff going on in the world? And I'm like, I'm pissed off. And so when I even hear about certain groups, there's this within me that just pushes people away because of what's going on in the world. Anyone else? You don't have to raise your hand. We'll start a support group again. And so when I see that, I realize that part of my problem is that when I see things happening, I begin to push people away. And the very opposite has to happen. Our reaction is to push away what we perceive as bad, but the perception has to change to embrace what is bad and love it into good as best we can. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree, but it certainly means that we're going to have a conversation around it. And that means I have to push myself beyond my familiar. Unity doesn't mean uniformity. It doesn't mean we're all going to think the same, act the same, do the same thing. Different thoughts and ideas are inherent to the nature of life. We need this variety. Now, that's not saying we need people to kill other people, but we need the variety of cultures and religions and other concepts to bring people together and an understanding that these differences can be overcome by the power of love. Does this make sense? Hang with me if it doesn't. But back of it all, we need to be a sympathetic understanding of others. Have we kindness for other people? Kindness. I mean, oh my God, just watching the events in France this week. And as soon as I heard about it, I Googled it, and unfortunately I saw some images that were just horrific. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I convert this to kindness? How do I do this, Joe? How do we do this? Is anyone feeling this way? Yes. No? Yes. Okay, a few. Good, that's good. The rest of you, we all need to have lunch and talk about how you're coping with this, because on a spiritual level, this is challenging. It's tough. I have to ask you a question. Not to be too personal. How old are you? 27. 9/11 happened in 2011. 2001. How old were you when 9/11 happened? 10 years? So how old were you? Take a guess. 12. So the majority of your life, this is all you've ever known. I want you to think about that. And there's a little young man over here. I don't have any idea how old you are, but I'm sure that his whole life has been spent like this. You know, it bothers us on one level, and it bothers other people who've lived under this on a different level. And the only reason I bring that up is because we have to be able to start seeing things differently from a different perspective. The majority of their life has been spent under an idea of this type of activity. And all their adult life, 12, I mean, heck, all their adult life has been spent under this idea. For some of us, myself included, I'm 53, so I didn't go through as many other experiences as some of my more older people in here. It's a challenge. Question is, are we flexible enough to know that everyone does not have to think alike in order to live together harmoniously? Am I flexible enough to allow you and to allow people out there to think the way they want to think, worship the way they want to worship, believe they want to believe, and still find a commonality where we can live in harmony together? If people are disenfranchised, it's hard for them to imagine that. Have you ever been on the outside? I've been on the outside. As a gay man, I grew up on the outside. As a gay man in the 1980s, I came out when the HIV and AIDS was prominent. And I tell you what, you want to feel on the outside? Feel on the outside when all your friends are dying around you, when you're 20 years old, and people look at you like you're next. And you know what it feels like to be on the outside and how people reject you. And then you see that rejection, and then it becomes a pattern of rejection in your own mind, and so you create this rejection that continues to unfold in your life. Wow, I'm really heavy, aren't I? Okay, together, please. Rising to my greatest self, I now step into seeing members of our human family with a deeper understanding and feeling of connectedness beyond my familiar. Can we reach across differences of opinion to the common ground in which we all stand? Can I reach across the differences of the Quran and other documents and other Bibles and all sorts of cultures and beliefs and religions? Can I reach beyond that and see that there is love at the basis of this? And if we get to the interpretation of love, which really think about it, again, these acts are being done by extremists. The majority of people do live in love and want this. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Okay, if you believe it and I believe it and we know that they believe it, then what has to prevail here? The love has to prevail. How do we do that? Knowing we see through the lenses of what we believe as well as how we think and act, the idea of peace, harmony, justice, and enfranchisement challenges to ask ourselves questions. So knowing that we believe that, there's some questions we have to ask. I'm going to keep going. Say that for me, please. Rising to my greatest self, I now step into seeing members of our human family with a deeper understanding and feeling of connectedness beyond my familiar. What does peace, harmony, justice, and enfranchisement mean to you today? What does it mean to you, and how do you think it means to others? We're seeing it played out everywhere on TV. We're seeing played out in media, and we're seeing in groups of saying, look at us, we are feeling disenfranchised, look at us. We are feeling it now. We are seeing it now. How do we embrace all of that, and what does it look like? What does it look like? Here's the issue that I've been battling with. Am I talking to myself too much? Are you guys okay? Are you bored? Okay, good. Okay, because I don't want to bore you. Sorry. Okay. Here's the issue I grapple with myself. It's all about how I see things. It's all about how I see things. When I was in Peru, I got to be able to see how other people see things. That was really interesting. Because normally I only see it through my eyes, through my lenses, through my experience, through my life. As a U.S. citizen, as a white man, as a white gay man, as a dad, as a brother, as a cousin, as a son, I see myself through those eyes. But I always see how my perception is. My perception isn't from where they sit. My perception is from where I stand. So it's very hard to sometimes put ourselves in those situations to see their perception. But in order for us to embrace them, in order for us to love them, in order for us to bring them into our circle of love, it requires us to sit in their seat, see through their eyes. And I refused in my consciousness to do that because I'm angry. Yeah, anybody? What does it take to live, what does it take to live being the consciousness and daily activity that reveals peace, harmony, justice, and enfranchisement? What does it feel? What would it feel like if we had a daily activity to sit looking not from where our perceptions are, but from where theirs are, and do it without throwing our biases onto the conversation? In other words, we do it and we do it clean. Can we do that? Thank you. Honesty. I don't know. It's a tough one. We have no choice but to try. I agree. It's tough, it's hard. But you know what? And God knows, I'll probably, heaven forbid, but I'm going to be standing in front of you again when something else happens, and we're going to be saying the same damn thing over and over. It's a darn thing over and over and over again. But you know what we're going to have to realize? Until we do, each one of us, and those of you who did, the other ones who spoke up already, brave. The other ones, we are brave too, but we silently go, no way can I put myself in that situation. Until we do and see differently, it's going to be hard for us to connect because I won't see you as an equal part of me, as an equal image and likeness made in the image and likeness of God. I won't ever see you that way. So you'll never be that way, so I'll never treat you that way, and I'll always perceive you that way, and because of that, you will always have that stigma and perception attached to it. That's exhausting. She said, I need a drink. Luckily, I came back from Peru, I came back from Peru with a little stomach issue, so I didn't have one at all in P-Town. Okay, why does life calling us to be, do, and share? What is life calling us? The only true voyage would be not to visit strange lands, but to possess others' eyes, to see the universe through the eyes of another or 100 others, to see the 100 universes that each one of them sees. You know, when we went to Peru and that whole Inca thing, I studied that stuff in high school. I don't remember any of it. So when I got there, I was kind of like, surprise me. And I was very surprised by what I learned. Exactly. What I realized is this. What I came to really kind of adjust into again is looking through the eyes of something I don't understand and being in the culture of people in which I don't have an explanation to how things happen the way they happened, to hear their explanations. Some of them I accepted full-heartedly, some of them I rejected. But I had to realize that when I accepted, or regardless of my exception or regardless of my rejection, I have to accept who they are and honor what they believe. even though my initial response was, no. Doesn't comply with the way I think. Make sense? Let's broaden our understanding of the vast array of perceiving, believing, and seeing by willingly opening our minds to listen and hear what other persons find meaningful and how they interpret their beliefs. We have to be open to not knowing, but learning and understanding that it doesn't mean that I agree, but it means that I understand. You don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with you. But let's each get to a place of understanding what we do believe in. And we don't have to agree, but I have to honor your right to believe what you want to believe. The problem is when we don't do that, we push people out. When we push people out, what happens when you push people out? They act out to get in. Think about it. When you push people out, they act out so that you will put them back in. Look at the world events. Look at the world events. Look at what's happening in the world. We've pushed people out, and what do? They make a statement to have us take a look at them again. And so do we. God, this is depressing church today, huh? No, I want you to think. I want you to think, you know what? I want this to be uncomfortable. I want this to be uncomfortable. Because until we get uncomfortable, then we'll do something about it. You don't buy a new bed mattress until your back really hurts, right? Right? But when it finally really hurts, you go buy a new one. You know why? Because the old one doesn't work anymore. So let us sit in this discomfort for a little bit. A lot of my colleagues have been talking about how we're going to have to become very, we're going to hold you up on your rock and your highest, and then we're going to push you off and make us all swim again. Because that comfort level that we've gotten ourselves into is the very comfort level that's creating this disenfranchisement, that's creating this outside and them and us and them and us and them and us, and then they act out to come back in, and then we push them further because we don't like what they did to get back in the view, right? We're taught there is more than one answer. We are taught there is only one right answer, and that is not true anymore. Do you remember, I remember when I was teaching my daughter was teaching me how she does algebra, you know? And if you've ever done new math, whatever that is, whatever that means, I guess we did old math, right? You're 27, you know. Old math, right? So when she would give me a problem, I would come to the right answer, but how I got there was wrong. It was just different. But to her, she said, no, that's wrong, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. I'm like, I'm going to get to the answer, but you're going to get there differently. So there may be only one right answer, but there may be several ways to get there. And we're all looking for one way to get there, aren't we? Aren't we looking for something to like flow down from the clouds and go, human people, this is your answer to all this stuff. Anybody want that? I would love it. And we're waiting to see it. And we're actually looking to people to bring it to us. Bring us the answer. It never left. It's just hidden in the darkness. Yeah? Say that to me, please. Rising to my greatest self, I now step into seeing members of our human family with a deeper understanding and feeling of connectedness beyond my familiar spiritual practices. Here's where I want, this is our assignment. This is your assignment. You know what? If we don't take action, and all I do is talk up here, and we don't do anything beyond just come to church and walk out of here and go, oh, boring. Okay, if we don't do something, then all we're doing is allowing people to live out there and act up to get back in here. And we're doing the same thing. So let's commit to doing something differently. You know, I have these little bracelets that I got in Peru, and a shaman blessed them, and it's symbolic. Everything is symbolic, and you know, we're not too big into symbology, but I'm glad I had these on the past couple weeks, because every time I began to think of the things that were going on, it was nice to look at these. And one of these, what did they mean? One was for, yeah, one male and one female. I couldn't figure that one out. And the female energy and the male energy was the balance of the female and the male energy. And one was about prosperity and health with your family, and one was, I don't remember. My mind is blank right now. But the symbology of just having something to go, okay, because when stuff would happen, I almost would just touch it. To touch base with me again. To touch base with a new idea. And it felt really comforting to have that. Now, maybe that's crazy that I'm needing that now, because, you know, in religious science, we teach that you don't need symbols, and you don't need this, and we don't need crystals and rocks and chakras, and we don't need crosses, and we don't need penance, and we don't need we don't need any symbols. But I tell you what, it was nice to have a touch tone. And it reminds me often that I need that I found comfort in that. I'll say that. So spiritual practices, listen and hear, pay attention to and feel as another is talking. You know, one interesting thing about going to these different countries is that you pay attention and you have to listen, but not only do you listen, you have to feel their passion about what they're sharing. And even though I didn't understand it or didn't believe it, they did. And I have to honor that and not make that my perception. Are you following me? Because it's too easy for me to get judgy. Anyone here judgy? I know we don't judge, we score. In this religion, we don't judge, we evaluate. We don't judge. But only when you're wrong. Raise questions and ask about others' stories. If you don't know a person or culture or religion that you're talking trash about, then you're coming from a place of ignorance, plain and simple. And for you to push people out because you don't know, what does that say about us? Yeah? Second thing, open to respect. Temporarily suspend your own beliefs and points of view. Oh my God, that's the hardest one. To me, that's the hardest one. It's the hardest for me to suspend what I believe. Because then who would I be? If I suspended what I believed about myself, God, spirit, universe, if I suspended what I believed and listened to you, oh my God, who would I be if I couldn't fire back my opinion? Perhaps we need to be open to respecting others' rights to believe what they want to believe instead of pushing them out again so they act out to get in. Yeah? Forgive yourself and others for what you have caused pain and sadness due to systemic policies and practices that produced harm in any way. There is a test, and I'm giving you a preview. First off, I'm going to do a whole talk about the election and spiritually walking through this process, because it has gotten nasty and ugly, and it's going to get nastier and uglier. And so we have to have a spiritual perspective, not a political perspective, but a spiritual perspective on how to allow ourselves to go through this without being bogged down into the energy of that. Secondly, there's a test that I have to take. It's from Harvard. It's online. And it's about how we have biases and racism in our own selves. And those of us who think we have none, and I didn't think I had, some things came up and I was surprised, and I thought, holy cow, I've got to forgive myself for having done this to myself, and how I may have harmed others in that bias that I didn't even know I had. It brought up things in me that I never even knew I had. And it was really interesting, because when you find that out, and you may think like I did, I didn't see anything like that. Bull. It really brought out some really interesting things. And it's uncomfortable for us to look at. Sit in it. Let's sit in it. As a spiritual community, let's sit in the discomfort of this. And understand that sitting in the discomfort of it is not saying I'm going to sit in the discomfort of the activity and the chaos that's happening out. I'm going to sit in the chaos and the discomfort of not knowing that I don't know how this is going to fall out. But that I am indeed a part of it in some way, shape, or form. That every one of us is indeed a part of it in some way, shape, or form. And that when we forgive ourselves for having participated, even on that subconscious level that we didn't even know we had, we have to forgive ourselves and forgive others because there are policies and things and there's systemic things that have created this us and them idea. Yes? Inspire and have courage. That's a big one. Use prayer, words, and actions that promote greater freedom and justice, fairness, honesty, fair play, and equity for yourselves and others. There is no us or them. It's all us. There is no them. There is no us and them. It's one heart, one global heart, one global humanity. We may want to push people out into the darkness, and at times we may be in that darkness, but there is no us or them. How spiritually arrogant can we be to think there is an us or them? There's only one, all made in the image and likeness of the one. Doesn't mean we all have to believe the same thing. Doesn't mean I have to, and I don't condone anything that's going on that hurts or takes the life of someone else. Don't get me wrong. I'm not standing up here going, yay for the people who are doing things to get attention. No, what I'm saying is, how do we give people attention without making them feel like they have to do the things that they're doing to get this attention? Yes? Very preachy today. I know you're expecting levity after P-Town, but these flags are at half staff again. They were there when I left. They never change. And that's sad. That's sad. That's darkness. We have to make a difference. But you know what? You got to sit in that discomfort like I do. And we have to learn from it. Instead of sitting in it and rejecting it and saying it's us and them and that has nothing to do with me, it has everything to do with us. Everything to do, I want to look at everybody's, it has everything to do with each and every person in this room. And has everything to do with each and every person outside of this room. And until we all, every one of us, sit in that and take some sort of conscious effort to understand and not agree, didn't say you agree, to understand and respect and become more inclusive, we will always be facing half-staff. They're acting out to get in. Use prayer. Prayer. Not as a last resort. We're there. Words, actions that promote greater freedom, honesty, fair play, equity. Equity. Don't say you know what you know what you know. Question what you think you know. Because when I sat on the top of that Machu Picchu, I'm thinking, I knew it all. I didn't know anything. How did that get there? I have no idea. Something bigger. And I have to live in the question mark of I can't answer this. No one can. But it's there. And if it's there and it happened, greater things can happen too. Say that with me, please. Rising to my greatest self, I now step into seeing members of human family with a deeper understanding and feeling of connectedness beyond my familiar. And so end your lesson. Thank you, everybody.